Few stars in Hollywood have shone as brightly or suffered as deeply as Judy Garland. From The Wizard of Oz to worldwide fame to her own Nepo baby, Eliza Minnelli, her life really looked magical from the outside. But behind the scenes, her story was filled with pressure, struggle, and tragedy. Tonight on Wicked Wednesday, we're going to explore the astrology, numerology, and tarot surrounding the life of Judy Garland to see what energetic patterns may have shaped her extraordinary journey. We'll be right back. Hello, Tarot fam, Tarot maniacs, and everyone else in between. Welcome back to Fortune Cookies Tarot. For those of you that are new, I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. And on this channel, we explore tarot, astrology, numerology, intuitive insight, everything else to better understand people, events, and energies that shape our world and the things that we pay attention to, like politics and celebrities. So we're going to be talking about celebrities and stardom in this one. If you'd like your own magical reading where I can help you divine your best future, you can always visit my website, fortunecookiestarot.com, or you can go to my About page for scheduling links. I would love to see some of you on my schedule for a private reading. But tonight we are going to continue Wicked Wednesday. And this is where we explore mysterious, tragic, or fascinating stories through the lens of tarot, astrology, and psychic ability. Sometimes I channel on this too, so stick around. Tonight's subject is the amazing Judy Garland. If you're unaware of Judy Garland, I don't know what desert planet you've been on, but she is an icon in our world. She was born Frances Ethel Gumm, spelled with two M's, in 1922, and she rose to international fame as a teenager when she played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Her voice, her vulnerability, and emotional connection with the audience made her one of the most beloved performers of her generation, right there with Mickey Rooney. I almost said Mickey Rourke. Behind the scenes, though, Judy Garland did face some tremendous challenges. It is well known that she was given diet pills during the filming of Wizard of Oz because they had intended to, the studio didn't want Shirley Temple to play that role. Judy Garland was a little bit older than what they would have liked, so they wanted to keep her as trim as possible to make her look as girlish as possible. Something that is not advisable, and in this day and age, people would freak out if that happened. There was intense studio control, not only around her weight. They also famously gave her cigarettes. She was allowed to have like black coffee and cigarettes. So diet pills, black coffee, cigarettes, a whole lot of stimulants there. They also very strictly controlled her PR. There were extreme work schedules. This predates when they had a lot of laws and rules in place for underage individuals in the entertainment industry. The pace that was set with the diet pills extended into her adulthood, where she did have some substance abuse issues. She also suffered from financial instability and very turbulent relationships in her personal primary relationships. Despite all of this, she remained one of the most powerful performers in entertainment history. She passed away in 1969 at the age of 47. And I'm always surprised at how young she actually was. Because if you do look at pictures, she does look like she trod upon a long road. Her legacy continues to resonate today with little girls performing, everybody that takes music lessons sings somewhere over the rainbow. Tonight, what I want to do is I want to explore some of the energies around her life, what karmic lessons may have been in play, and what my psychic ability and Fergus Hall's The Tarot of the Witches is going to tell us about her soul's journey. So let's discuss her astrology before we go any further. She was born June 10th, 1922, which makes her a Gemini sun. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, voice, storytelling, and expression. All of this she had in spades. It's incredibly fitting that someone whose voice was one of the most iconic voices in entertainment history has that kind of a sun sign behind her. Gemini performers often have the ability to convey really deep and rich emotions through storytelling, music, and performance. It is one of their gifts. One of my best friends is a Gemini. She's a fantastic performer, amazing singer. So looking at you, girl. So Geminis are also natural communicators who can connect very directly with audiences. They can throw that energy out there, but Gemini's energy can also bring this nervous intensity and emotional sensitivity. With the right alchemy, they can get very, very nervous when they're performing and sometimes flub a performance due to some of the energetic input. Someone who's constantly exposed to stimulation, substances, pressure, and public attention can really get rattled by this. Many Gemini artists carry both brilliance and vulnerability, and I think that Judy Garland does present this very, very well. She embodied this duality throughout most of her life. So I wanted to look at some astrology markers for her. And the first one I looked at was when she became Dorothy. She was cast in 1938 as Dorothy, and she was about 16 years old. In astrology, teenage years often coincide with important planetary activations that bring about a person's natural gifts into public view. So for performers, astrologers will look at strong transits to the sun representing identity and visibility, activation of Mercury, which is going to govern voice and expression, and influence from Jupiter, the planet that's associated with opportunity, expansion, and recognition. So these kinds of transits often coincide with moments where talent meets opportunity. For Judy Garland, opportunity became one of the most iconic performances in film history. It still stands the test of time. Over the Rainbow is one of the most defining moments, not in just her career, but in cinematic history. So not only was she in a landmark film for the film industry, but she had a landmark performance in it and nailed it. She absolutely nailed it. Now, for her numerology, her birth date does reduce to a life path of 5. And life path 5 energy is performer, free spirit, and an adventurer. But they also can get kind of in the maelstrom, the tornado, if you will. These types of life path 5 individuals, they crave excitement, movement, creative expression. That craving of excitement can sometimes lean into substance usage and abusage. So they're often life path 5 people, charismatic, expressive, and magnetic performers, meaning that the audience will lean in to really pay attention. They really get sucked into that that demonstration of the music or the role that they're playing. But like I said, life path 5 can also be instability and extremes, highs and lows. The path often brings highs and lows and intense experiences and lessons about balance and personal freedom. So somebody living under the rigid control of old Hollywood and the studio system, that energy may have felt incredibly restrictive. And as a result, Judy may have lashed out later on and turned the flailing inward, if that makes sense. A numerology marker for her rise to stardom She rose to fame through the Wizard of Oz, but she was entering some numerological cycles that were connected to self-expression and visibility. So I do feel that she is kind of blossoming into an adult more so than having like that numerology marker for like, yay, I'm gonna get discovered and be famous. So, numerology students often notice that career breakthroughs occur during cycles that emphasize creative expression, recognition, destiny driven opportunities. Again, talent meets opportunity, or talent meets chance. These kinds of periods will bring big and bold moments where a person's gifts suddenly meet the attention and opportunity that is at hand. So for her, Wizard of Oz became the exact moment. Now, that is a huge moment in her life, but I want to take a look at the moments at the end of her life. She passed away on June 22nd at the age, in 1969, at the age of 47. Astrologically, the late 40s can be a deeply transformative period. By this stage of life, people are moving through a later phase of the Saturn cycle, which can bring periods of reflection, karmic lessons, and life reassessment. And we do see that in the major arcana, in the tarot. And we can talk about that in my tarot classes that I drop on Sunday. So if you want some of that, drop it down below. Let me know if you want to look at the planets that affect the major arcana in tarot. I'm more than happy to put together a course for that. Saturn does represent responsibility, life choices, life lessons, consequences of past experiences and past lives, and the weight of accumulated life events. So for someone who experienced so much intense emotional and professional pressure, these energies may have been particularly heavy for Judy Garland at the end of her 40s. Now, the numerology markers at age 47, age 47 reduces to 11, which is considered a master number. Master number 11 specifically, is associated with heightened emotional sensitivity, strong intuitive ability, and intense spiritual energy. Many extraordinary artists carry strong 11 energy, which can bring both inspiration and great emotional intensity. So the number often appears in the lives of individuals who creatively whose creativity deeply affects the emotional lives of others. Hands up, who hasn't cried when they heard Over the Rainbow? This number also represents the lives of individuals that are intensely readable by others. And there's a transparency to the art that they perform for the audience. So it is a great conduit for them to just siphon off that energy into us. We feel it. We don't get to keep it. It goes right back up the tube to them. Judy Garland's voice certainly cuts through in the sweetest, sweetest way. So I want to pull some cards and I want to look at a few things for Judy Garland. I don't want to go crazy on this video. If you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and hit it now. And we are going to see what is going on here. What spiritual gifts did Judy Garland bring into this lifetime? What spiritual gifts did she bring into this lifetime? One card for this. The Devil in reverse. Connectivity. This is her lone wolfness. Now, that's not to say that she didn't have partners in her life, but did she actually have partners that understood her? I don't think so. Is this a spiritual gift, or is this something that she had to navigate around? Five of Cups, Valet of Batons in reverse, and the Nine of Swords. Departure. was the only thing that was going to give her relief from the vacancy of not having that connected relationship with a partner. I will say that I do think her personal primary relationships were very lacking. They always left her feeling a little bit empty. And I think the escape to the other side was the only thing that would give her respite from that gaping hole in her. So that's quite sad, beloved by all, but not loved by any, or loved correctly. So what energy surrounded her rise to fame? 5 of Cups in reverse, 4 of Cups right there, Valet of Swords in reverse, and the Hangman. In true form to her numerology and astrology, this looks like she is able to convey her pain. So she puts her pain out on loan for the rest of us. She puts her emotions out on loan for the rest of us. And so we all get a taste, but we don't have to go home with it. We don't have to live with it or be steeped in it. So, what karmic lessons may have shaped her life? Got 5 of Cups keeps coming up, guys. Knight of Swords, Hierophant in reverse. She was absolutely in a karmic place where she was not going to be the captain of her ship. She was not going to be able to drive herself from point A to point B. She was a doer and constantly trying to be better than what she was at the beginning of the day. So this is somebody who absolutely would be drawn in by acting and being having a director direct her, and trying to always be that A student, but never having the agency to direct herself. Has her soul found peace since leaving this life? Has she found peace? Judgment. 9 of Swords, I'm going to say no. And the 10 of Wands. And I know that her death was deemed accidental. These cards tell me maybe not. Maybe they were not. Maybe she did need to get out of this lifetime. Maybe she did need to jump out. Knight of Coins, trying to build a better place, a better future for herself. There's a flippancy about the fragility of life. And I believe that we come back time and time again. I believe that we recycle and return. We get to hang out with our soul group and our people. We get to see all of our pets again. I had one dog that I know was a horse in a past life, but I think she was looking to build a different future, a different lifetime, and exiting the lifetime in which she was Judy Garland was the one she needed to step out of that, exit stage right. So we're going to pull one more card for her. What archetypal energy should she have leaned into in those last days? 2 of Cups. And I know that she was either married or had a significant paramour. And I think that perhaps that too was a desperation relationship, and that it was never going to satisfy her. It was never going to fill the cup. It was never going to fulfill her. And perhaps she did realize that Valet of Cups. I do think that he loved her, but not in the right way. And that is, unfortunately, her fate in this lifetime, was that everyone loved her, beloved by many, but loved by none. And I think that perhaps her husband was besotted with her, but not necessarily ready to guide her through the rest of her days in the correct fashion. So quite sad, quite sad. Her story certainly tells us that brilliance and fame do not always protect someone from hardship. And we hear this often. My daughter and I just watched Sunset Boulevard last night with Norma Desmond, who was clinging on to her past. Fictional character, I understand, but you know, sometimes having it all does not save someone from the pain that's on the inside. Her voice, her vulnerability, and her emotional truth that she brought to her performances are a delight for all of us. And they continue to affect people watching her performances for the first time. So in a sense, her legacy remains very, very powerful. But for us, it remains a lesson about how our astrology, our numerology, and a little bit of psychic input can help us steer our way into our very best future. And perhaps had someone directed her a little bit more energetically, she may have turned out a little bit differently in the end. But if you enjoyed this episode of Wicked Wednesday, please let me know in the comments. And let me know if you would like me to look at some other Hollywood figures and the date of significant events. Robert Blake is one that I've always been fascinated with, and Bonnie Lee Bakley. Of course, we have Marilyn Monroe out there if you guys want to look at the astrology and numerology surrounding her days and end of days. But I absolutely would love to do that. My channel is almost exclusively driven by recommendations and comments from you guys. So drop it down below. I am here for it. And I definitely want to talk to you guys about what you want to see. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the future.